Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? So, I have never felt so important because I go on a lot of media shows, etc. But I've never been strapped up with 3 mics. So, I'm feeling very important because uh, it just shows how important it is what I'm saying. You know, there are three mics which are capturing everything which I'm saying. So, thank you very much, first of all, Ankit and Aditya, and everybody at Wealthy Nivesh for organizing this event and inviting me here. And many thanks to all of you because you're choosing to spend your Saturday evening out here. I have come this afternoon actually. I came specifically for this event, and after the event I'll be going back. So you had the choice because you are choosing to spend your time here. I didn't have much of a choice because if Ankit tells me I have to go, I have to go. But I'm happy to be here. So, I think in terms of the format, what I have been told is that I have to speak for 15 minutes. I just realized 2-3 minutes I have wasted, but I have to speak for 15 minutes. Because there is no chance that you allow the speaker to gloss over anything. So what I'll do is that, first there are 4-5 slides that I want to share with you. This presentation has 70 slides, okay, but I'll share only 4 or 5 of them with you. I'm not going to talk 70 slides. And the few things that I want to share with you is, I am very conscious of the fact that all of you are in a global, you're in a global location by virtue of being been asking this for 7-8 years. I have gone because क्या है कि you have the choice of inviting anybody else, right? So if you're not interested in the market, why will you invite me? So if I'm invited, I know you are going to talk about stock market, and still I ask this question, despite knowing that it's a futile or a wasteful or a stupid question. I still ask it because you may or may not hear me or meet me, but in 7-8 years, wherever I have gone, I have always asked, do you invest? If I ask, whenever I ask this question, how many people raise their hand? How fast or full? It tells me a lot about what is their mood. And when I ask 3 times also, people don't raise their hand. It's like कि भाई हम भूलने का ट्राई कर रहे तो याद क्यों दिला रहा है आपको? मूड होता है. कभी-कभी लोगों का मूड खराब होता है, उसमें क्या है? Market mood, because Ankit already spoke about so much of statistics about India's market, but then why am I talking about stuff like mood? Your mood reflects your emotion. So why am I talking about the mood? The reason is because stock market obviously is fully related with economics and with finance, correct? So if stock market is absolutely a subject centered around economics and finance, then why am I talking about stuff like आपका mood कैसा है? The reason is simple. The reason is because I don't know how many of you have noticed or not. I don't know how it's such a syndrome. Economics meaning this Nobel Prize. मतलब psychology study कर, brain को study कर, for that also you can give Nobel. But why is it that the Nobel Prize in economics has to be given to somebody who studies the human brain psychology? Reason for that, and it is actually massive contradiction, because the economics I have been taught, or which I have also economics taught, that human beings are logical. Correct? What is the biggest proof of this? The economics which we have been taught, it says that when the price goes down, the demand will go up. ऐसे सीखा है ना? And when the price goes up, the demand will go down. उसका सबसे बड़ा manifestation है that's why they say that human beings are rational and logical, meaning that human beings will always do what is जो उनके स्वार्थ में है. Human beings will always do what is optimal for them. They will always do what is beneficial for them. They will always do what is easy for them, convenient for them, what is going to give them maximum value. So economics का assumption तो ये है कि human beings are rational and logical. Then and you understand that emotions have nothing to do with rationality and logic, correct? So actually the economics which was taught to you, in that the underlying assumption is that human beings are rational and logical. But economics का Nobel Prize उसको दिया जिसने बताया कि human beings are emotional and psychological. तो बहुत साल पहले किसी को Nobel Prize मिला था ये बताने का कि human beings are rational and logical. 60 साल के बाद किसी को नोबेल प्राइज मिला, उसने बोला क्रॉस क्रॉस, पहले वाले ने गलत बोला था, तो उसको भी मिला. What is the reason for this? The reason is because your success depends on your mood. Success depends on how you control your emotions, right? So for example, Mr. Buffett, who's the most famous investor, he said, be greedy when others are fearful. Sorry? You speak loudly. As I go along, the voice will go up, don't worry. So Mr. Buffett said that fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. दोनों गलत है. B, okay, that is also wrong. The most important word is others, because he said be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. There is an even more difficult question. Who is others? बताइए, who is others? Investors. अच्छा, before you, I mean, you might find it difficult to say this, you may not be so blunt, you may not be so forthright, but most of you are thinking, मेरे को छोड़ के बाकी सब others, right? That's how people, जो मतलब, say, I'll tell you the reality, unflattering truth, जो आपको आईने में दिखता है वही others है. बफेट साहब तो नहीं है पक्का, right? And it's a fact. I'll tell you why. See, in recent times, Aditya is going to ask me a lot of questions on asset allocation, so I'm just building for that, right? In recent times, when what others did mattered a lot, and in recent times when our emotion or psychology was really tested. ऐसे तो I have been around for 26 years in the market, but in recent times, what everybody will relate to is 2020, right? Recent times when people got most scared about their investment. So what happened in March 2020? Obviously, the news of COVID came. What happened in March 2020 is that in a span of about 3 to 4 weeks, the stock market declined nearly 38%. Percent, 70%, it was like bloodbath, correct? Now, when will the price of something fall 40%? Meaning, I have seen stock market falling many times. I have seen 60% down. But when I saw the market falling 60%, it took the market 1 year to fall that much. We have seen worse, but it has taken long period. But we have never seen it falling 40% in 3 to 4 weeks. Now tell me something, when will the price of anything just keep falling one way in a span of 3 to 4 weeks? It's when everybody wants to sell, and buyers are either not buying enough or not buying or delaying their buying, right? So everybody wants to go out of the door, but the door is half open or somebody is resisting from outside, anything of that type. Now, why will everybody want to sell? You know, like in Bollywood, in Hindi, there was this movie, says "Is Raat Ki Subah Nahi." ऐसा movie का title था. It's almost that, right? कि मतलब निकलो यहाँ से. Meaning, whatever price you get, you're okay if I mix bit of Hindi, right? Yeah, because उतना English मेरे को भी नहीं आता है. So when will the price fall 40%? When people want to just sell anyhow, मतलब जो भाव मिला वो लेके निकलो, right? और गिरेगा तो, you know, and lot of time people say this, no, it will fall a lot more, I'll buy later, but right now I want to sell, okay? So when will everybody want to sell? You know, it's almost like, abhi, boss, we are the next dinosaur, this is where the day of reckoning has come, this is where the world ends, so now we have to just get out. So, you know, when these kind of scenarios come, you will look at the television and you will ask around people and, you know, you will call up Ankit, you will call Aditya, and, you know, you will say, what is happening to my money? So then, you know, people will say pretty much like, you know, vaccine will take 10 years. You know, in 1918, there was Spanish flu. Do you know what happened? In 1992, there was plague in Surat. Do you know what happened? In 2003, there was a SARS epidemic in South Asia. So people will give you all kinds of horrible analogies. Basically, you know, it's like world is coming to an end. So this is why the market is falling. That's the explanation you will get, that we all are becoming dinosaurs. So you have to get out. Now, why did I say emotion or mood or why others matters? I'll tell you why. This was March 2020, where you agree that pretty much the scenario was that now, you know, things are looking horrible. You just fast forward 17 to 18 months, not much. I'm not talking 5 years. You know, wealth managers are notorious for talking 5 years, 10 years and 15 years. I'm only telling you 17, 18 months from March 2020. By the time we went to October, September 2021. Do you know what happened in September 2021, October 2021? In March 2020, the Nifty had fallen from 12,500 to 8,700 or something like that. In the next 18 months, that 8,700 became 18,490 in 17 to 18 months, right? So in 17, 18 months, it went up 2.25 times. That is also an extreme, no? So again, you will call, you will watch TV, you will say, what happened? Why is this making new highs? So the same guy who said world is going to come into an end, he'll come on TV and say, abhi hamara amrit kal aane wala hai. So it's, you agree it is almost schizophrenic, right? अरे भाई अभी तो तुम बोल रहे थे दुनिया खत्म होएगा, अभी तुम बोल रहे हैं all trees will grow to the sky. So you tell me what has changed? What changes? Did anything change? More than the numbers, more than the you know, economy, more than corporate performance, what actually changes rapidly is just your perception of what is going to actually play out, right? In one scenario, off-white starts looking yellow to you, and in another scenario, off-white starts looking snow-white to you. Oh, hey, off-white, right? It's just that the perception, perspective, or the mood actually changes. And you know why it changes so much? Like COVID, I gave you is an extreme example, but now I just want to give you 2-3 examples. And you know, this is more like a compendium for me. So I don't want to bother you with so many slides. I want to show you just 3-4 things. So let me get to that very quickly. Yeah, I started off by telling you that, you know, I know that a lot of you have the choice of investing all over the world, and I know all of you are by definition non-resident Indians, right? And whenever we meet non-resident Indians, their biggest concern is that the rupee keeps depreciating. And you know, till you don't talk about rupee, I mean, I'm painfully conscious that if I don't get the rupee out of the way, you will not be able to listen to what I'm even saying, right? It's a block. But I just want to point out to you, somehow this color scheme is not great, but on top, the green one is India's BSE 500. And on top of that, you read it is percentage annualized growth rate in US dollars. So this factors for depreciation of the currency. All these numbers are reported in dollars. Now for a moment, if you haven't read this, if I ask you which is the best performing, before I go to the slide, this is just a cover, just ignore this. Which is the best performing stock market in the world in dollar terms in last 20 years? USA or any other? Sorry? China. Anybody else has any other guess? Sorry? China, okay. So this is the data. 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, we'll read right to left. The one in green is BSE 500, and again I'm clarifying it is stated in dollars. In last 20 years, India's dollar return is 10.6% compounded. US is also 10.6% compounded. China is 7.9% compounded in last 20 years. Okay, and then you read 15, 10, 5, 3, 1. You will find that India is consistently either the best performer or second best performer. In between, you will find Taiwan definitely. It's not a comparable market. The reason is because here India's index is 500 companies, meaning it covers every sector of the economy. US is also 500 companies. It covers almost every sector of the economy. Whereas Taiwan is semiconductor and tech predominantly, and it has delivered bulk of its return in the last 3 to 5 years. But if you go as far as 15, 20 years, the best performing stock market in the world in dollar terms, one of them is consistently India. Okay. And briefly, because most of you said China, very briefly without taking too much time, I just want to tell you 2 or 3 things. Every time you switch on the TV or meet a wealth manager or a global fund manager, and by the way, because probably you may not know, we are one of the largest FIs investing into India. Our business in India is smaller than our global business actually. Even here, if you were to meet any of the top private bankers and you tell them you want to invest in India, one of the funds is likely to be a WhiteOak fund. Okay? But anyway, I am saying this because I speak to foreign investors quite often. And anybody you meet, the first thing they will say is that China is cheaper, India is expensive. Anybody who follows the market must have seen this. So they will say that their market is 7 times PE multiple, India is 22 times PE multiple, so obviously India is expensive. That is the still photography. If I tell you something that this is 7 times, this is 22 times, so still photography will suggest to you that 7 times is cheaper, 22 times is expensive. Obvious. But that is still photography. What does the moving picture show for last 20 years? The moving picture for last 20 years shows that the 22 times wala is consistently outperforming the 7 times. You understood? So these PE multiples and these returns are generated and PE multiples are paid not for sasta and mehenga. Any country where there is democracy, rule of law, judiciary, corporate governance, respect for minority shareholders, those markets will always have higher PE multiple. And it is not at all necessary that if there is economic performance translates to corporate performance. And it is not at all necessary that if there is corporate performance, it translates to return for shareholders. It works in India and America, doesn't work in all parts of the world. I'll give you a simple example. You gave me an example of a country where you are assuming that their economic performance would have resulted in corporate performance. But what if the economy is heavily dependent on government interventions or on public sector enterprises? Then will the economic performance result in listed companies' corporate performance? Answer is no. What if there is corporate performance, but there are no strong regulators or no great regard for minority shareholders, or those companies are not conscious about their capital efficiency, right? So India and US, these are 2 countries which are test cases where economy results in corporate performance and corporate performance results in stock market performance. And all of you as investors are not interested only in economic performance, you are more interested in the fact that economic performance should translate into stock market performance. And India has a very, very long history of that, right? So this is our long period average, just last couple of minutes. This slide is same thing put differently. In that it was saying that last 20 years we have done 10% compounded, that was in dollar terms. And this is a longer history. This is 30-35 years since India's liberalization, since the time the stock market opened up, right? Since the time the stock market opened up, what this says, the gray line, it says India's nominal GDP growth is 12.5% compounded. It says nominal because it's 6 to 7% real growth and 6% inflation. So it says India's nominal growth is 12.5% compounded. Then the second part which I said, the green one, it says Sensex EPS. What it means? It says that the gray line which shows that nominal GDP has grown, the rate at which nominal GDP has grown, at the same rate the earnings of listed companies has also grown. That's why I was making the point that economic performance is translating into corporate performance, because जिस रफ्तार से जीडीपी का ग्रोथ हुआ है, इजाफा हुआ है, उसी रफ्तार से कंपनियों का मुनाफा का भी इजाफा हुआ है. And then what it shows, the blue one says the rate at which economy has expanded, corporate profits have expanded, and the blue one says the rate at which corporate profits have expanded, at that rate the Sensex has also compounded. Okay, you understood this? So 11.7% is Sensex compounding plus dividend yield. So 13 to 14% is the rate at which the Sensex has compounded. So we're blessed to be in a country where if you do nothing, every 5 years the index, approximately every 5 years the index doubles the money. Why I'm using approximately and average and all? Because when there is a teji, it happens in 3 years. And when there are bad times, it is 7 to 8 years. But on average, every 5 years, the market itself doubles the money. Okay. Now tell me something, that if on average every 5 years market doubles the money, how many people you know whose money actually doubles every 5 years? 1, 2. Sir, आपने आधा हाथ उठाया मतलब you are not sure, or you are asking her first. Ma'am, you told him to raise the hand. You said half hand only. So 2.5 hands, and another 2-3 on second thoughts. Anyway, that's not the point. This is the rate at which the market has done it. But why we are not able to do it in every portfolio? I mean, why clients don't have it in every portfolio is because of what I started with. The emotion is what matters. And why emotion matters, ये जो लाइन है ना, ये ब्लू लाइन, ये सेंसेक्स का लाइन है, ब्लू लाइन, वो ब्लू सेंसेक्स का लाइन है ना, दैट इज एनुअल, एवरी ईयर का मूवमेंट. अगर आप डेली मूवमेंट करेंगे तो ऐसा लगता है. राइट नाउ पीपल आर वरीड अबाउट द टैरिफ वॉर, राइट? सो नाउ यू सी, नाउ यू आर वरीड अबाउट टैरिफ वॉर. आई कैन टेल यू एवरी ईयर व्हाट यू बीन वरीड अबाउट. मतलब ये क्या बोलते हैं इसको, सेम स्क्रिप्ट है. I mean, the plot is the same, the script and character keeps on changing. In 2020, you are worried about COVID. In 2021, you are worried about US interest rate. In 2022, you are worried about Ukraine war. It will become third world war. Then oil went to $129. Then you are worried about Silicon Valley Bank. Then you are worried about whether BJP will come to power or not. Recently, you are worried about tariffs, right? So what happens is that in reality, in 30, you see any time frame, it is 14-15% compounded year on year. But what happens is that every year from the top, market falls 15-20%. You know what this chart shows? It's broken into every year, and it says that the blue colored stuff, the blue bar. The blue colored bar tells you that in the year from the highest to the lowest point, how much market fell. And the green bar tells you, forget intra-year, from 1st Jan to 31st December, where did the market actually end? So long term is 14% compounded, but every year from the highest point, once market falls 15-20% from the top, गिरता ही है. And this is nifty. See what happens if you are in small cap. The average fall is 30%. So small cap का long period average will be 17-18%. So long period compounding is 17-18%, but हर साल ऊपर के level से एक बार 25-30% गिरता है. Okay. Now the last thing which I want to share, this is why, now have you been on a roller coaster? All of you have been on a roller coaster. When the roller coaster is going up, up and up, what is your emotion? How do you feel? You feel excited, right? When it's going up, It goes higher and higher and higher. At some level, it cranks the gears and goes up further. अब जब आपको लगता है रुक जाएगा तो gear का आवाज आता है, फिर और ऊपर जाता है, right? And when it's like, if you are in Hong Kong Disney, you will be able to see the whole ocean. There will be wind in your face. You'll be saying, oh देखो मेरा friend नीचे है, उधर जाएंगे, उधर खाएंगे. You know, you will tell your wife or your partner, great idea, we should do this once in a year. Thanks for getting me here. You know, that's your emotion. Now, when you are most excited at the peak, खुश है आप, उसके बाद क्या होता है? उसके बाद what is your emotion after that? You will tell the same person, तुम्हारी वजह से आया मैं यहाँ पे, अगले बार मेरे को लाना मत. And when it is hurtling down, you'll be like, वे धरती फटेगा, अंदर चला जाएगा, ये रुके तो मैं निकलूँ यहाँ से, and अगली बार कभी नहीं आऊँगा मैं यहाँ पे. That's how you react, right? So this is what happens when Nifty is 26,000. No, everybody is like अपुनिज भगवान है. And when it is going, see क्या in this year you have seen 26,000 on Nifty, and you have seen 21,700. At 21,700 you will call Ankita and say, अरे पहले क्यों नहीं निकाल दिया पैसा? At 26,000 you will tell him, अरे small cap में लगाने का तू इतना डरता क्यों है? Right? So it's the long history is absolute maths. You agree with me? This is only maths. This complete mathematics, right? This is the mathematics which is on which all the investment is predicated. But don't you think this is very simple? It is actually like this. It is actually like this. If you know, most of the people in my industry, if you watch them, you feel, यार कितना intelligent है, ये नहीं करता था तो rocket चलाता था ये, right? That's how complicated it sounds. But it's only predicated on this math. But what disrupts your ability to stick to the math is this. वो सीधा नहीं जाता है, right? So what happens? At the bottom you feel like कि ये रुके तो मैं निकलूँ यहाँ से. And at the top what do you feel? अपन तो इधर ही बैठे और ऊपर जाने दो. So the point is that now he will ask me questions about asset allocation. What you have to do is that you have to calibrate, right? When it's at the top, you don't get carried away. You don't see. In 2020, we were all thinking that we are dinosaur. Correct? Now I asked you, who is others? So the secret of success is not to be part of others. तो 2020 में जब बर्बाद है सब, तब कौन खरीदेगा आप बताओ मेरे को? Not the person who is, it's not the person who has no fear. It's the person who has fear. It's a person who accepts कि हाँ ये सब जो बोल रहे हैं सही बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन जिसका दिमाग में एक खिड़की खुला है कि भाई दुनिया का हिस्ट्री ये बताता है कि अब तक तो हम डायनासोर नहीं बने. Correct? And who will start selling at the absolute, like, you know, when things are looking heady and great, who will start selling at the top? Say, yeah, it's looking good. ये लोग बोल रहे हैं अमृत काल आएगा, लेकिन कल सुबह तो नहीं आएगा ना. See, trees don't grow to the sky, right? So world doesn't come to an end, and trees don't grow to the sky. The reality is always you need to calibrate. What do human beings do? The biggest mistake we make is we are binary. We are good or bad, right or left, black or white. But बड़े बुजुर्ग ने क्या बोला है? दुनिया गोल है. And in English they say the world is grey. There's no black. I mean, I'm not in a good position to say that today, but the world is grey. It's not black or white. So you need to calibrate. When you think that, you know, when you think that now you are the best fund manager, why do I need to ask anybody? Then you need to pull back. And when you think that this is just not the place to be, then you need to, yeah, so it's very counterintuitive, but I hope I've shared some food for thought. Thank you for listening me out. I'll hand over.